Hey guys, subscribe for daily knife content. And if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode, I don't even know, of The Knife Guy. It'll be listed in the title. If you're new to my channel or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are or who I am, I'm a knife guy, knife user, knife collector, knife enjoyer of many types. We are all knife guys and gals, or assuming, right, the people watching this video, we're all knife guys and gals in this super weird and messed up EDC and knife related world. And we all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same stuff. What I like to do with this series is pick up knives that are generally either mine or some of my generous viewers who have lent stuff for review. In this case, actually, everything out here today is mine. And I like to just pick them up and sort of flip them, look at them, just mess with them, give you guys something to, look at while I talk. Some people like to watch, some people just like to listen. On this hopefully beautiful Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening. What are we talking about today? This is going to be a weird one. So if you're watching this right now and you have a knife-related YouTube channel, you've probably thought about this. And honestly, if you don't have a knife YouTube channel, there's a chance you've thought about this as well. But it's not specifically YouTube related. This is Knife World related. So as time progresses, and I'm not going to claim to be a professional, this is just what happens when my mind is idle, right? If I'm not looking at knives, this is what happens when my mind is totally idle. We live, in a time period where everything seems to be moving very fast. And I'm sure no matter which time period you existed in, time is like, wow, everything's speeding up, technology's speeding up, and all these things are changing, right? The knife world, just like any other thing, right? The world, itself is bound to change and evolve, right? Faster, 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 right? The knife world, same thing. The knife world is going to continue to exist even if knives get canceled, right? I mean, it's like there are lots of people watching who don't live in the United States who are definitely interested in this stuff. Maybe they can't acquire it where they are, right? But it's still an interesting thing, right? Knives themselves, folding knives, fixed blades, all that stuff, it's going to be around for the foreseeable future. What is not foreseeable at all is the future of how channels like mine operate, or how social media platforms will allow content like this to exist in the future. Right now, my channel is very healthy. I'm very happy with the growth, right? For all I know, this could be the absolute peak of my channel. Tomorrow, the channel could start to decline, right? And by decline, I mean subscribers and views. People always say something like, it seems like you're really just, you're really pushing for views and subscribe. Of course I am. I want my channel to grow. Of course I want that. But listen, it's like, if I was only concerned with just growth and subscribers, then I would, do one of those manipulative sort of like topical discussion channels where I'm only putting stuff right in front of people's faces that's like the hot topic right then and there. And it would just, like, if that's not my thing. I like knives, right? But it's those two things combined. I love talking about knives. I love creating knife content, getting my hands on new stuff, getting my hands on stuff that other people seem to think is cool, right? And I want to talk about it. I like to do that. That's the main reason why I do that. But of course, I'm going to make thumbnails I want you guys to click on. Of course, I'm going to try to put out a lot of content and do things, to get people to subscribe and to watch. Of course. Why would I not want that? I definitely want that, right? Now, most of you know that, right? But it's always funny to me when people, feel like they're solving a case. Like, hey, I think I just figured you out, man. You want subscribers and views. Yeah, definitely. Definitely I want that. So anyways, I do want this channel to grow. That's part of it, right? This channel could peak out and drop and fade into, or start to fade into obscurity tomorrow. Something that I've come to accept is that at some point, my channel and other channels like it, and other knife-related channels, and just YouTube channels in general, the ultimate fate of all of this is basically to fade into obscurity. Unless you're PewDiePie or one of those other giants who basically has the opportunity to go, I'm as big as I feel like getting, and I'm just going to walk away and just be done with it. It's usually the community surrounding the channel that decides, we're not really interested in you anymore, so we're done, right? It's pretty rare that a YouTube channel gets so big that they go, I don't have to do this anymore, right? I mean, or have to. It depends on if you do it full time or if, there's a lot of variables. But what I'm saying is that the fate of most YouTube channels is the social media world, or the world evolved around you too quickly and you failed to keep up with the demands of the audience and you are slowly becoming irrelevant. I've accepted that at some point, sometime between tomorrow and, if I'm lucky, 10 years from now, probably not that long. That'd be best case scenario. At some point, I will just become totally irrelevant and I will fade into obscurity. That's a fate I'm completely and totally willing to accept, right? You have to be okay with the logic of that. But what's interesting is to think about what might actually start to sort of, fade you, right? I can make as much content as I want with the most interesting stuff that's out there right now, right? I can do that. I can keep doing the same thing over and over again. But at some point, unless I evolve, it's not going to work, right? This sort of tabletop style overview is popular, in a lot of ways in the knife community, right? A lot of people really like that. Now, some people hate it. Some people are like, if you're going to talk about knives, you got to use them. If you're going to talk about knives, you got to do durability tests. If you're going to talk about knives, you got to talk about it's got to be a comprehensive breakdown of the materials and the science behind the composition, right? People want different things. There's no right or wrong way to do this. YouTube simply allows all of us, if we want to just turn on a camera and start talking about whatever, right? Sometimes we're wrong about it. Sometimes we're misinformed about it, right? Sometimes the information is more or less beneficial for anyone, right? It's just YouTube allows you to attract the people that want to watch your content or appreciate it, right? And then it allows you to continue to provide that type of information to those types of people, right? It's not perfect, right? It's just simply, if you're not into the stuff, then you go watch a different version of it. The platform's going to evolve. In fact, I see it every day. What I see, what's constantly is like, YouTube's like, hey, we're updating this. We're creating this new system here. We're changing the way that people interact with your content. I think, I've had a few weird indicators here or there, but just to share with you guys, I mean, it's not like this is completely behind the curtain. You can literally Google this and find out. We're not special. It's just that we see this immediately, this type of weird information. YouTube, I saw something about them starting to, they want to make the total subscriber count less important, or that's essentially what they're doing. They didn't come out and say that, but that's essentially what's happening. The total subscriber count, because you guys, when you watch my content, the people who are subscribed with the notifications on, you get the notifications, so you click, right? If you're not, a lot of people just watch what's recommended to them. Very few people actually go to their subscriber list, click on go to their subscribe to list, their channel list, click on that channel, and then go to their content. Very few people do that. It's an incredibly small percentage, which means the total number of subs is in a lot of ways becoming less and less and less relevant, right? So it changes how the algorithm pushes my content to you guys, right? Now, depending on how much they change that, it can dramatically alter, potentially in a positive way or in a negative way, exactly how many people come to watch my content, right? Subscriber count for me is great, and I like watching that. I like seeing how, and it gives me an idea of how many people are actually watching. But if you go to websites like Social Blade, you'll find that there's a massive variance, right? A lot of people think like YouTubers must make money on how many people are subscribed to them. No, not really, right? There are plenty of channels out there that have 10,000 subscribers that get way more views than me, depending on the type of content that they're putting out there and how the algorithm pushes it out to other people. I promise that we're going to get back to the knife thing, because this is going to get weird. Then there are channels out there that have 2, 3, 4 times the number of subs that I do that get less views, right? The view count essentially is a much better way to, or at least that's how I gauge it, right? It's not a competition, but that's how I gauge my growth, right? And all that. It's part of it anyway. But the subscriber count is meaning less and less and less. And that's one example of how YouTube's changing this, right? If YouTube decided that knife content was basically inappropriate tomorrow, I'd be screwed. If they decided, no, knives are not, and that could happen. But if they decide, knives are not appropriate, it's not something that we want to push, right? The advertisers drop out, they stop recommending that type of content. Then even people, let's say that there are out of the total population of YouTube, which by the way, at any given moment is roughly half the world's population. That's how many people are logged into YouTube, right? So what is that? 3.5 billion people, something like that. Of those 3.5 billion, let's say there's anywhere from, this is a shot in the dark, 5 to 10 million people at any given moment logged into YouTube that would be even remotely, interested in knife-related content, right? Well, that'd be great if I could push my content out to 5 to 10 million people a day, but that's not what happens, definitely. YouTube's algorithm controls whether or not the people who are looking for that type of content actually find it. So if they decide the algorithm's not going to favor that, then it'll be substantially less than how the channel will do substantially worse than it is right now, regardless of how many, subscribers I have. So it's a weird thing to think about, right? And that these changes will, no matter what you guys like to watch. I know there's a lot of people watch my channel. I'm like number 10 on their list, right? If there's like 9 other channels they watch, they're like, no, nobody's got anything. I guess I'll go check out Metal Complex, right? That's fine. But this type of stuff will affect everything that we watch in the future. For all we know, the knife world could continue to expand, right? Best case scenario, the knife world expands in a way that's beneficial for everybody. Like OEMs, knife makers, right? US knife production companies, YouTube channels like mine that are surrounding like the coverage of this. Like, let's just say it explodes and we see like not just a golden age, but a platinum age of the knife world. Great. I think that's kind of fantastical and unrealistic. I have no idea what the future of knife laws will be, but something, that will affect everybody is the evolution of social media platforms. And the other weird thing this is bizarre, but it's real. I think something we're going to see in the very near future of YouTube, and I think in a lot of ways is actually already a part of YouTube, is artificial intelligence playing a role in content. As crazy as that sounds, have you guys this is a funny thing to do. And by the way, this is just me talking on like what I've gathered from this. I'm in no way, shape, or form a professional. I'm not a prophet, right? I'm not a seer. I have no idea. I'm just talking. It's just like, that's weird. I wonder, like, this is what I think about it, right? If you guys have ever gone and Googled, like, have you read that? They took basically a computer that was able to, I guess, this is the only way that I can explain it because I don't understand it. It was able to basically take the plot of multiple Batman movies and get an idea, gather enough data to get an idea of what a typical Batman movie plot looks like. And then a computer spit out a script for a Batman movie. And it is the funniest thing I have ever read. It's hilarious because it's just jumbled nonsense that's just barely comprehensible. It almost looks like a joke script that's designed to make you laugh, right? But the amazing part of it is that was done a long time ago. AI has gone way beyond that now, right? So at some point, there will be content that is created entirely around artificial intelligence. Can you imagine a channel that was built on AI that's actually able to create its own, to either gather images or actually, let's say a robot, right? It's able to take its own pictures, create its own videos, right? And break down the science behind stuff perfectly without flaw, be able to present visually perfect information, scientific information, be able to put that into perfect content, shorten it up and make it absolutely ideal for the intended audience, right? Perfectly target the audience, perfectly, form the content in a way that's beneficial for the vast majority of people, right? I can't compete with that. That's a guy standing on the railroad tracks with a wiffle bat waiting for a train to come. I cannot compete with that. That's something that, if that happens, well, that'd be terrible for everything. But if that happened to like knife content, right? Then those channels would just dominate. Now there's still going to be people who are dedicated to, channels that actually have human interaction. And who knows how that'll play out in the future, right? But that's something, artificial intelligence and basically the way that the YouTube algorithm decides whether or not certain types of content should be viewed by certain, right? It's going to become so controlled and so selective that channels like mine are destined. No, channels like mine are doomed to fade into obscurity. It's not possible for me to be here forever, right? Let's say I wanted to. Let's say like I could, just select my future, right? Because I love doing this, right? I've had more fun doing this than any other thing that I could consider a job, right? I've had more fun doing this. So let's say right now I could go, you know what? I want to do this until I retire, right? I want to do this until I'm 60 years old, right? Okay, great. Would it actually be possible? No. Let's say I could. Would I even want to do it? Like, I mean, let's say I did this for another 10, 15 years. It's more likely I'd get burnt out, right? I'm more likely to be shoved aside by, the evolution of the platform than anything else. So, while that may sound sad to some people are like, thank God, get Metal Complex out of here. He sucks, right? That's fine. But as some of you, that might sadden you, right? But that is the fate of everything right now, right? Look at old channels that were huge. Equals 3. Now that guy moved on of his own accord apparently, but I mean, sometimes maybe he was hitting a point where he felt like it was peaking out, right? And he was like, I don't know if I really want to like go down with the ship here, right? Well, unfortunately, that I think that just is the fate of this. So I will bring you guys knife content for as long as I possibly can. And you know what? Even if this channel did start to fade tomorrow, I'd probably still do it because I like to do it, right? But the end thing here is that, and this is, I guess, a message to my viewing audience who is interested in this, or people who have started YouTube channels. The name of the game with this stuff is you either adapt or die. That's not physical. I mean, like, as far as your content, right? You adapt and evolve, and you change up your style of content, right? Or your channel will fade into obscurity, right? And while that might be like, a lot of people might think, so what, right? Just keep doing it. If you love it, keep doing it. There is a certain level of livelihood that starts to be attached with your, like, I love knives, but I also like watching the community grow, and I like interacting with people. I do like watching the numbers and things like that. It's fun for me, right? I have a background in digital marketing and, car sales. I used to be a car salesman. I do like watching numbers progress. I think that in a lot of ways, human beings are hardwired that way, right? And there is a certain level of, what was the word I just used and forgot? Livelihood that's attached to that, right? And so a lot of the motivation to get up every day and come out here and talk about this stuff with you guys is that, right? And a lot of it is just because I like to talk about knives. So it's attached, and there's no way. I mean, if you've done this, then that's just part of it. You like to do that. So if there's a way, I'll probably continue to do it for as long as I can either way, right? But at some point, I won't be here. I won't be able to keep doing this, right? Or it'll turn into something else, right? The channel may actually take a turn, and it'll be a different type of. I've always thought, like, how cool would it be to do VR and present knife reviews in VR, right? That'd be kind of neat if VR becomes like a widespread thing, but that's just one element, right? So I don't know. Right now, I don't plan on changing anything, right? There hasn't been anything on the platform or like just the social media that I use. There hasn't been a major enough change to get me to want to change the style of my content, right? And if that day comes, if the options that I have are options that I don't like, then I probably just won't do it, and I'll damn myself, right? That's just what it is. I love talking about knives. I'll always love talking about knives. I do like watching this channel grow. Platforms will inevitably evolve, and I guess we'll see what happens. It's weird, right? But I guess mark this moment in time. I can imagine, like, 15 years in the future, some weird article is like, the old days of the YouTube knife world, there were, they'll highlight, like, the super giants and then, you know, like Talon Sai and maybe like Best Damn EDC, and then like the retailer Supergiant channels like Blade HQ, they'll highlight Nick Shabazz. And then way down the list, they'll be like, there's this obscure, like the memory of Metal Complex will be like, there's this obscure channel, Metal Complex, like he did a lot of content, but he just talked all the time. And that's it. That'll be the whole memory. That's just the total, and it's almost humorous to think like how much work has gone into this channel, and that is the reality of it. That will be the memory of this, and you know what? It's okay. But I love doing this, and I don't want you guys to think like, does that mean he's going to stop? No, I'm going to do this as long as I can. I just thought this would be a fun and weird topic to talk about. You know, for those of you who like to pop in and listen to Knife Guy. Yes, the background is different, and that's for those of you who are still here. I marked up the old one again. I cut it on accident with a knife during a review. And so I had to get a new, and every time that happens, I just get a different color. And I was like, oh, I'll go back to black. And I quickly realized black's a bad choice for how my camera deals with how things look, right? The camera does not like black nearly as much unless it's zoomed way up. And it did not know what to do with that background. So to solve the problem, I ordered some more light gray carbon fiber, because that seemed to be the not the white, not the stuff that was too bright, but the light gray carbon fiber seemed to be like the best background, and it's coming. In the meantime, I went to Home Depot and just bought some vinyl flooring that was kind of light gray, and in this case, it's kind of a wood grain. You can see here, everything is a little bit more crisp. It works well with my lighting, and the color comes out, and it doesn't give you guys the garbled, pixelated nonsense in the background. It just seems to work a little bit better, and it's durable. So the background will probably continue to change up periodically, but this is what it is, at least for a few videos. You might see a few weird ones in the future, and you might see some other stuff that's pre-recorded that has an old background, right? Well, most of my content's pre-recorded, so it's always going to be kind of different. Anyways, this was super weird. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Ooh, let's see how does this guy look? He looks pretty good. Yeah, all right, detail coming through. There we go. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of The Knife Guy. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.